Welcome to episode 13 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, presented by Changeup. I'm Matt Satilli, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Owen Shadrick. Good to see you, my friend. How's everything going?
It's good to see you too, Matt. I'm actually in the Fraser Field ticket office awaiting tonight's game between Brockton and North Shore. So great week so far and can't wait for what's to come.
Yeah, and talk to us about how you spent your first weekend of baseball, because I know a lot of people saw the content from the Futures League account on Twitter and Instagram, which we were mainly in charge of. So, how'd you spend your first week of baseball?
So this weekend, I was in Nashua, New Hampshire, watching all 3 days of the Silver Knight home games. North Shore came out red hot. They're 3-0. They were very impressive. On game one on Thursday, Sal Fralick hitting the first pitch to left field and Bo Dana coming in to close it out. Nashua, unfortunately, did struggle this weekend, but they did pick up their first victory in Brockton last night, so everybody's looking to keep rolling.
Yeah, it's a crucial week to get off to a hot start. Nashua looking to capitalize on that first win that they had yesterday. We're recording Wednesday afternoon. I will be going to Westfield, actually, as soon as we're done recording this, to see the Starfire's home opener. I would say my favorite game from the first weekend was probably yesterday. It was Westfield taking on New Britain, and the Starfires got their first win in their first game of the season. I worked for them last year. It was nice to catch up with a lot of people from the front office and see what transitions they've made and what steps they're looking to make in year two. I know we talked to Evan on the podcast 2 episodes ago, but to see some of the Western Mass talent in person and to see some of the guys that were originally supposed to be in the Cape League or NECBL, Reggie Crawford, Ramon Jimenez, Mark Coley, who played on Pittsfield. He did a lot of damage against the Starfires last year. He went deep for a 2-run home run to left, and all 3 games were competitive, and some of them featured some late game comebacks. North Shore took a game in extra innings after being down 4-1, so it was just great to see some competitive baseball, and also interesting to see how these managers are dealing with their pitchers. I saw North Shore feature 7 or 8 arms on Sunday, so it's been a great weekend of baseball so far.
Yeah, we're back. Let's go. Futures League baseball, and it continues this week.
It sure does. So we have a great interview with Alex Price of the New Britain Bees. Speaking of New Britain, he made the opening day start. He'll walk you through how his season's gone so far and what experiences he took last year when he spent it in Pittsfield into this summer with the Bees. It's a great interview, and he will be on the bump tonight as of release day. New Britain taking on Westfield from New Britain Stadium. Second time those teams have met. So without further ado, here's our interview with Alex Price. At this time, we now welcome on a very special guest. It is Alex Price, starting pitcher for the New Britain Bees. Alex, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course. And to start it right off, you were named the opening day starter for New Britain's first ever game in the Futures League. What did that mean to you, and how did it feel to finally be out there?
It was really cool. As you know, we've got a lot of great pitchers on the staff, and to be named the opening day starter was an honor for me, and I was happy that I was able to not let the team down, and we were able to get a win.
Yeah, you had a really great pitching line. You were named the first ever pitcher of the night for the 2020 season. Pretty good. You went 4 innings, only gave up 2 hits, had 5 Ks and 2 walks. And you guys also took down a pretty good team, Worcester, coming off of 2 straight championships. So just talk about your performance on the mound a little bit more and, what kind of a groove you were able to settle in and just how it felt to be out there facing live hitting.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously there was some a little bit of nerves coming in, knowing that I was going to be pitching in front of over 1,000 people, with like the feeling in the back of your head not to let the team down. So that was in my mind like leading up to it, and like right before I got to the field. But then once I started my routine and got into it, it all felt like normal and what I've done like my whole life. So when I got up on the mound and faced the first hitter, then I was able to like settle in and just like get lost in the game, and I was able to throw strikes and get some good results.
Yeah, and you talked about the crowd and the nerves a little bit. When you got settled in, what was it like playing live baseball in front of that crowd?
To see live fans, like that. And they were all super into it and gave a lot of support. So it was pretty cool to have that as a backdrop in my first pitching performance in a few months.
Yeah, and you mentioned playing for Pittsfield last summer. This podcast is called Back to the Future, so it's great to have you back in the league this summer, and I'm sure just, awesome to get a chance to play some summer ball again.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going to happen with all the different leagues around here canceling. So I'm grateful I got the opportunity to come back here, and I'm so thankful that the Futures League is still happening.
Yeah, everything's gone tremendously and according to plan so far. So I know that Owen and I have just really appreciated being at the ballpark too, and I'm sure you feel the same way. So talking about your game a little bit, you've had a couple months to work on training and just make sure you're in good shape for this summer. I'm just curious, how many pitches do you have in your pitching arsenal? And are there any in particular that you worked on over the last couple months, or maybe a new pitch you've developed recently?
So I throw a fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup. And before the quarantine happened, my curveball was kind of very average, I would say. And I've been throwing with a friend from around town. He helped me change a grip to a more spike grip. It was able to get a lot sharper. And I think I had a couple strikeouts with it. So that was definitely a big improvement. And then always for me is the changeup. I've been just working on that and just trying to perfect it because that's the money pitch for me.
Yeah, so transitioning back kind of into the team, you guys have played 3 games but at the time that we're recording this. How has the chemistry been in the locker room, and what do you think your team's strengths are this season?
Well, I would say that our chemistry is very good right now because before we knew we were allowed to play, the town of New Britain allowed us to practice on the field. So we've been practicing and inter-squatting for about 3 or 4 weeks now. So we've got to hang around each other and get to know each other a little bit more. And so I know as a staff, we're all pretty close, and I know the infielders are the same way. I think our pitching is going to be pretty good for us and definitely going to be a strength. As well as our defense, and our hitting's starting to come around very nicely.
Yeah, so going off of that, a lot of people have said that pitching has had the upper hand in the early portion of the season. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was able to sneak some fastballs by some people on Worcester that in a few weeks I won't be able to get away with. So, I mean, it's just like it's spring training where you're indoors and the hitter really haven't seen live pitching, and you're able to just dominate everything. And so, unfortunately, it will even out pretty soon.
So with that in mind, is there anything that you're planning to do to ramp up for that portion of the season? Like, how do you gauge making sure that you're staying healthy and that you're not seeing any elbow soreness or stiffness after the first couple games? And judging off your first couple performances, how you adjust and adapt to the hitters being able to catch up to that live pitching?
As the hitters start to catch up, I know that for me, throwing in 95 degree weather for 4 innings, in a true competition mode, was very new for me. And so as I start to get used to that, I'm sure I'll be able to be more conditioned, and all the pitchers will get more used to that. And so it'll still be a pretty even playing field, because I know that after I threw 4 innings against Worcester, I was extremely tired and not used to doing that.
Before we get back to our interview with Alex Price, we wanted to share a message from one of our sponsors, Changeup. We're excited to announce a brand new partnership this season with Changeup, a cutting-edge, player-centric pitch tracking solution promoting health and safety, allowing coaches to capture and analyze a proprietary set of performance analytics, and helping pitchers maximize their potentials. Coming to baseball programs around the world this year, Changeup eliminates the administrative overhead associated with adhering to pitch count regulations, allowing coaches to focus on baseball. Coaches and parents at all levels, Little League, AAU, high school, and the collegiate level, take notice. Changeup is the clear choice to ensure your pitchers aren't being thrown too much or too often and are getting proper rest. Together, we can make this great game even better by protecting arms and ensuring compliance with pitching guidelines. For more information, visit Changeup's website, www.changeup.io. That's www.change-up.io. Changeup. Every pitch counts. We now return to our interview with Alex Price. So you played last season for Pittsfield. You finished 7th in the league in ERA. What was that experience like playing for Pittsfield?
Yeah, so it was a great experience. I again was fortunate enough to get the opening night start in Pittsfield, and the fans there were spectacular, and it was a lot of fun. The sun delays were, some people liked them, some people didn't. It was a little unique feature of playing there. But it's down in Middlebury College. I mean, we play some pretty good teams, but usually like a lot of the lineups are top heavy or whatnot. And in the Futures League, I saw some pretty deep lineups, and that was something that I really hadn't seen before and made me work a little harder. And so I thought that was very beneficial from playing in the Futures League last summer.
So talk about those sun delays a little bit. That's such a weird, unique feature that you get in Pittsfield. Talk about how weird it was to experience your first one and how you kind of dealt with it as you went on.
Yeah, so it's very interesting because it's not really like a set thing. It's either when like a single hitter or the umpire just deems it too sunny to keep playing, and so there's no way to really go and prepare for it. It's just you gotta pitch and you gotta just prepare like there will be no sun delay, and then when it happens, I stay warm. I jogged a little bit, and then like I guess I basically had to redo my routine. I threw a little bit, and then I went back into the bullpen and then threw a few more warm-up pitches, and then I was good to go.
Was there ever a situation where you were in a big spot and it got called for a sun delay, and did you feel like you were almost iced a little bit on that front? Or is it just a matter of kind of retaining your composure and making sure that, you're not focusing too much on the situation, was as weird as it sounds, and just, going back there and trying to pick up where you left off?
Yeah, I don't remember anything specifically where I was like where I got into too big of trouble after, but I do remember one time we were in like a rally or something, and then it happened, and we came back on the field and struck out, and then it was all over like that. It kind of sucked, but I guess it evens out over the course of a season.
Sure. I guess there's no true home field advantage when you're dealing with the sun delay. The sun doesn't care if you're in the field or at the plate. So no sun delays this season, but we're excited to welcome Pittsfield back into the league next summer. So talking about now your new team, the New Britain Bees, how did you first get in touch with Brad Smith and Ray Garino? Just because it's the Bees' first summer in the league. I know that you're in Ridgefield, you're a Connecticut guy, and they're the only team in that state. But, talk us through that initial process and, what that first stage of communication was like.
I was scheduled to play in Danbury in the NECBL this summer, and so they canceled pretty early. And after I learned that the Futures League was playing, I actually texted Coach Gedman up in Pittsfield and tried to work something out there. However, he wasn't really sure if they were going to play and whatnot, and with like the out of state and no host families, I don't think it was really going to work out. And so New Britain even though it's like over an hour from me, still a drive enough so I could go play there. So I emailed Brad, and he told me that I could come and practice and whatever, and he would ask Ray if I could join the official roster, because they did still have a roster from before this all started. And fortunately enough, I was accepted, and the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, so another interesting thing is, so your former Pittsfield teammates are spread across the league, including Mark Coley, who you play tomorrow again when you play Westfield. What's that going to be like?
Oh, well, it's going to be a lot of fun, because I actually lived with Mark in Pittsfield last summer. We shared a basement, and we got to know each other pretty well. And so I know a lot of his strengths and weaknesses as a ball player, and he knows mine. So, and he actually hit a bomb last night. So it'll be a fun matchup. I'm really excited for it. We talked about it before the game, and he's coming for me, and I'm coming for him.
I love it. Yeah, don't tell Mark that pitching has the upper hand so far this season. Might give him an extra chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So have you talked to Ray about what the starting rotation is going to look like? How many starters are going to be a part of that New Britain rotation? Because, there's so much talent top to bottom. And I'm curious if you're expecting to come out exclusively as a starter, because you also pitched out of the pen at Middlebury in 2019. Would you be open to that? Do you expect to do that? Or are you mainly expecting to get like 4 or 5 innings of work coming out as the number one starter?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very flexible as a pitcher. I mean, I wouldn't mind coming out of the pen. I've done it before. What the plan is, what we've discussed so far before the season, was we would go for like a 6-man rotation. And so, I mean, as of now, I'm part of that, but with maybe some rainouts and stuff where we have to double up, I would be fine coming out of or pitching the second half of like a start like that.
And on your roster, there's plenty of Connecticut guys. It's almost the entire roster is filled with Connecticut players. Did you play against any of them in the past? And what has that been like, just to have all those Connecticut guys together?
Yeah, I played with or against like a lot of these kids, whether it's been like in youth baseball tournaments or high school, so it's been pretty cool to share some stories. I know I played Tony Sochi from Trumbull in the FCX semifinals, and he hit a rocket off me where my fielder made a spectacular catch to save an inning, and where we would go on to win the game. So telling stories and sharing some of those memories and hearing the other side of them is pretty cool.
Yeah, I can imagine. And transitioning into your experience at Middlebury, you got the Middlebury polo shirt on, looking very sharp. I noticed adjusting a little bit to get that M in there. So you pitched one game there this spring, and last year as a freshman in 2019, you had a great season. You pitched 45.2 innings, and you had 10 appearances, which was second on the team. 2.17 ERA, 33 Ks to only 13 walks, and you had a complete game. So, how do you value your command on the mound? You have historically had a very good strikeout to walk ratio. And what did that first season do for your confidence coming into college ball and just getting that much experience and playing really well as a freshman?
Yeah, I mean, since high school, I mean, I've never really thrown the hardest. And so just being able to throw my fastball for a strike, and more importantly, being able to throw my changeup and other secondary pitches for strikes has always been something that I've taken pride in. And so it worked in high school. And then, I mean, my first outing down in Emory, Georgia, was a little rough. First college appearance, like there's obviously some nerves, and they were a pretty good team. And so I struggled there, but I mean, I was able to keep the same approach and just fill up the zone and locate all my pitches, and it's led me to a lot of success so far.
And at Middlebury in 2019, you guys reached the NESCAC championship after going 26-13 in the regular season. What was that experience like, playing in that championship?
It was really cool. It was very intense. It was much more intense than I thought it would be, because after a season of playing some of these schools and growing little rivalries, and just the brotherhood with the seniors especially, and wanting to go out and make their last season special was definitely on my mind. And I got to pitch the second game against Bates. It was under the lights, and there were a fair amount of people there, and just to be able to go out and do a good job for my teammates was really special.
So Middlebury is a D3 school. So what does it mean to compete there in the D3 level and come here to the Futures League and showcase your skills against the talent that's all over the Futures League?
Well, it's a lot of fun. And I mean, I I take pride in the hard work that I put in the off season. I feel as though I work just as hard as every other D2 NAIA D1 player. And like a lot of times D3 players don't get a lot of respect and are not really feared and stuff. So, I mean, I take pride in going out there and showing that D3 baseball still is pretty legit and you can compete with anyone and are just as good or if not better than some of these guys.
And this season, obviously the Futures League isn't having an all-star game, but we are having a scout day where scouts are going to get to come to the parks and see your guys' talent. What does that mean to still have that portion of the all-star day on the Futures League schedule this year?
It's great. Those days of exposure are very valuable for like a player like me who's trying to play like at the next level. This league does a great job at allowing us that exposure.
Yeah, and talking about your transition just in form between your freshman year and now, so you're currently listed on the media guide as 200 versus freshman year when you were 185. You mentioned you're not the fastest pitcher in terms of velocity, but was there a different training regimen that you had picked up in that time? Do you feel like that's helped at all with picking up a couple miles per hour? And just talk about, was that something that you anticipated or just a process of maybe getting in the college weight room and having a training program?
Yeah, it was definitely a point of emphasis for me, both in the kitchen and in the weight room. Try to eat a few extra calories, and then I've just been more dedicated in general in the weight room and in the strength and the mobility aspect of it, trying to get stronger and more flexible to help me throw a little bit harder. And so far it has worked. I've gained some miles per hour, and I feel like everything's starting to come around for me, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. And I'm curious how you've been able to maintain that training regimen. Gyms are open in Connecticut, but only at a reduced capacity. Was it tough to maintain that weightlifting program, or did you have to alter any of your workouts over the last couple months?
Yeah, I've definitely had to alter my training regimen, but I mean, my trainer was able to give me a little program where I was able to do it at my house. So I have like a bench and up to 50-pound dumbbells, and I was able to really manipulate my exercise into using that equipment. So like instead of maybe some heavier weight, doing some higher rep stuff. So that's worked. And then I've just been pretty strict with like my eating and making sure I do that every day, because it is a lot different working out alone in your basement than in like a weight room with other peers that push you.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear that you have a trainer who's, adaptable and helping you just find your form as we get back to baseball. Now, kind of moving on to some of the more fun questions. So you wear number 22 at Middlebury. You also wear 22 for the Bees. Is there any particular reason for that number?
No, I mean, I wore it as a joke when I was little because my house was 22. There was a 22 in the name of it. And then I kind of moved away from it. But then in high school, I wore it for baseball and basketball. So I was 22 in high school for those two. And in college came and the number was open. So, and then I was able to get it this summer, which is pretty cool.
How was your hoops game in high school? Were you more of a shooter, or did you have other aspects of your game?
Yeah, I was a spot up 3-point shooter and one dribble guy, and I would have I my senior year I averaged about like 8 points a game, and I would have some games where I didn't have any points because I was cold, and I would have a couple games where I'd get into the 20s.
Hey, that's how it works sometimes.
Yeah.
So we also saw something on Middlebury's Facebook page. Is it true that you play piano?
It is true. I mean, I really haven't been playing too much recently, but it was definitely something that I took pride in growing up in elementary, middle, and high school, and something that I'll take with me for the rest of my life.
And then how about a message to Bees fans as, we continue to head on into this season?
Well, I just want to ask for more continued support, like we've had the past 3 home games, which has been awesome. And if it's like that, continuing through the season, I'm sure we'll give them quite a show through the regular season and through the playoffs.
You guys had a great homestand to start off, and, best of luck to you. We have one final segment coming up. It's called Quick Hits. It's presented by Zephyr, the official on-field hat of the Futures League. You guys got some pretty sweet lids, black with a yellow brim, rather, and you got the Futures League patch on the back. So Zephyr's providing those high quality and innovative designs since 1993. So, Alex, this has been great so far, but we got a couple more questions for our audience to get to know you better. Is that cool?
Yep.
All right. First one. Who's been your favorite Futures League teammate to play with?
I'll give it to my boy Mark Coley. So hope maybe by saying that he'll take it easy on me tomorrow.
Yeah, we're recording Wednesday afternoon. You guys are facing off on release day, so big matchup. We'll see who comes out on top. How about favorite opposing FCBL ballpark that you've played in?
I would definitely say Worcester. Their crowd and their stadium and their playing surface was all really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, that's been a common theme for that question. So I like the response. Do you have any entrance music that when it comes on, it's time to play ball, whether it be at Middlebury or something this summer that you have in mind for New Britain?
My walkout song is like a more country chill kind of vibe song. But when I'm really trying to turn it up and throw hard, I like deeper electronic music. Gets me going better.
What's the country song, just out of curiosity?
It's called Hurricane by the Band of Heathens.
Okay, I like it. I'm not familiar with it, but I'll have to maybe give it a spin on my way to the stadium tonight to check it out. Favorite big league team?
Phillies.
Okay, that's our first Phillies response. Was it a family member who's either from the area or roots from, or what's that backstory?
Yeah, my mother's from the Philadelphia suburb. So although she doesn't really care too much for the Phillies, some of my other relatives got me very invested with them, and so I'm a big time Phillies, Eagles, Sixers fan.
Who's your favorite big league player? Doesn't have to be from the Phillies.
Well, he played for the Phillies back in 2008 and those early years. Cole Hamels. I've always tried to model my game after him, and I've always loved watching him pitch, especially his changeup.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's your go-to pitch, so understandable how you could take after him. What glove do you use when you're on the mound?
I have a Wilson A2000.
What about cleats? How about the cleats related?
I have a pair of Nikes, I think.
Nice. That's been a popular answer. How about a baseball? How about a baseball nickname that you've had either in the Futures League or at Middlebury?
My nickname at school is kind of funny. I'm called Sunshine after the lefty quarterback in Remember the Titans, Ronnie Bass, because I have the kind of longer blonde hair like him, and I'm a lefty. So yeah.
Awesome. When was that? When did that nickname start?
It started right when I got to school. We were playing a two-hand touch football game, and I was quarterbacking, and I kind of looked like him, so they started calling me that.
In FCBL terms, we can say that's because of the sun delays in Pittsfield.
That's probably our best nickname response too so far. So congrats on that unofficial title.
Well, thank you.
Any superstitions that you have?
Yeah. So when I go out to warm up, I'll always, in the first inning, I'll always throw like the same pitches. I throw 3 fastballs, a changeup, and then another fastball, and then throw it down to second with another fastball. And I feel like just this like, I mean, it's kind of a superstition, but it's more of a routine. I feel like that locks me in and gets me ready to pitch every time.
And then how about a game day meal that you eat either before or after games?
Before games, I I kind of struggle having lunch, but I try to have like a big breakfast, like eggs and a bagel usually,
Nice.
and a smoothie.
Perfect. What's in that smoothie?
I usually put strawberry, bananas, spinach, orange juice, Greek yogurt.
Awesome.
You bring one of those for me tomorrow? That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I could try.
Okay, I'll accept that.
And then how about bubblegum or sunflower seeds?
I would say seeds over bubblegum. They have some really good flavors these days. I think my favorite one's probably the Buffalo Ranch ones. They're pretty good.
Yeah, that's been an answer we've heard frequently on the podcast. And then lastly, how about a favorite all-time baseball memory?
These past two opening nights, the last summer in Pittsfield and this past Thursday have been really special. There was in the state tournament, my high school senior year against Amity in the state semifinals. I pitched a good game there. That was really special to me.
That's awesome to hear. Did you guys go on to win that state tournament? I did not take a look back at those high school stats, but how'd you guys finish off that spring?
No, we ended up losing 1-0 in the Class AA finals, which really stung.
Yeah, I can imagine. But you've had some awesome success since then, and we wish you the best of luck with everything. That's going to wrap up this episode 13 of Back to the Futures. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
So this has been episode 13 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League. We have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday. We're streaming on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see everyone soon.